What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show. What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. It's a privilege and a blessing to record in this studio each and every week to provide episodes highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. Today, we had one of our newest podcast partners and sponsors, Bankhead Firth Orthodontics, represented by Dr. Justin Firth. We got to talk all about St. Louis, how they've been in the area for 50 years, and they don't plan on stopping yet. They're going to continue to grow, and they do so much to support St. Louis, and we're just proud to have them part of the show. So tune in and let us know what you think, guys. For 50 years, Bankhead Firth Orthodontics has been proudly serving the vibrant St. Louis community. As a family-owned and operated practice since day one, the commitment to excellence and personalized care runs deep. They believe in giving back to the wonderful people of St. Louis who have entrusted them with their smiles. Step into the 5 locations across St. Louis with modern offices equipped with the latest orthodontic technology. Their 3 amazing doctors are dedicated to providing top-notch, innovative treatments tailored just for you. Join us in celebrating 50 years with Bankhead Firth Orthodontics, where your family becomes a part of theirs. Schedule your free consultation today and let them help you achieve the confident, gorgeous smile that you deserve. Because in St. Louis, your smile is your legacy.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune into the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on, they'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, the city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. We have a very special guest in the studio today, but before we get started, I just want to shout out each and every one of you that listen every single week. Our show has steadily climbed since we started recording at this time 2 years ago. We're on episode 110 that you're listening to today, and we couldn't be happier to bring you this. We're on all platforms. One of the things I never ask you guys to do is subscribe to our YouTube. We put this up on YouTube as well, so if you guys have an hour a week, we would love for you to spend that with us. Got to shout out our friends, of course, over at Bomarito Automotive, Bankhead Firth Orthodontics, the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis, Four Hands Brewing Company, St. Louis Closet Company, all these amazing local St. Louis brands that get to be represented on the show. That's a big focus for us to get the city of St. Louis involved. But I'm going to get right into our guests. So we have, I think this might be our first doctor in the studio today. No. So we have Dr. Justin Firth of Bankhead Firth Orthodontics. You're one of 3 owners. Mm-hmm. You guys have 5 locations. I can go on and on. You guys know we just did a big giveaway. We've been talking about them on the podcast, but I want to learn a little bit about you. So thanks for coming in, Justin.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is really exciting for us. I feel honored, honestly. Yeah. I've followed you guys for a while, and kind of just by chance happened upon a little partnership here with you guys. So yeah, no, I feel like we might be setting us up for a failure if I'm the first doctor on here yet. But yeah, I mean, I'm from St. Louis. I've been here pretty much my whole life. You know, the whole thing about our business is we've just been family owned for so long.
50 years.
50 years. Yeah, we just celebrated that.
That's awesome.
Just last year, yeah, was our 50-year anniversary. But you know, like I said, I'm from here. I grew up in St. Louis. I've always just been really passionate about St. Louis in general, just about businesses that are here, sports teams, and I've had a chance to live in other parts of the country for school, and so really I've gotten firsthand experience being in other cities and seeing what it can be like outside of St. Louis. Now, you know, obviously St. Louis has its flaws, but
Yeah.
really for a lot of us, this is home, and you know, there's just so many great things. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel honored that you even wanted to have us on.
It's an honor to have you guys a part of the show.
But yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
when we first met, we were talking, and I'm like, we don't really post things like this on Instagram, and we're like
Yeah.
thinking of ways of how we could collaborate. And I'm like, we are looking for another podcast partner, and I think like getting out in the community, and that's big for us. Is when we could have a bunch of people sponsor the show, but to have companies that have been in St. Louis for 50 years, like that's what we aspire to be. We're highlighting the people, places, and events that make this city special, and you guys are those people that have helped make a lot of people smile in the city. I'm going to read something from your website, and then I want you to kind of go into your guys' story, let people know what you do, who you serve.
Yeah.
So on your website, it mentions here, we're 3 orthodontic specialists and 5 convenient locations across St. Louis. We are family-owned, family-focused, and dedicated to bringing personalized smile transformation for children and adults in Oakville, Sunset Hills, Eureka, Waterloo, and Columbia.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Man,
that's a short sentence that, that means a lot to you guys.
Gosh, it's what we get to do is pretty incredible. I'm very lucky. Being an orthodontist, we have a very large impact on people's lives, whether they're kids or adults. And, I just feel very lucky that I get to do that and be such like an integral part of the community in such a big way. Not a lot of businesses can say that. Orthodontics can kind of be a company or a type of business that spreads its wings across several different fronts. It's a little bit healthcare, it's a little bit cosmetics, and it's a little bit small business. So, we're not like a restaurant. We're not people that you're going to come to every single day, but we hope that we can be those people that have this large impact on your life, either, whether it's when you're 9, 10 years old or when you're older, just looking for some sort of transformation. I grew up in a great family that I always feel really lucky to be a part of. But the business it's not just on me. I ultimately am extremely lucky that I fell into this in a way. Of course, I had to make a lot of big strides to get to this point, but really I have my family members before me to thank for what they've done for the St. Louis community. So really, that's what I think this is all about.
So let me ask you this. So orthodontics, like you grew up in the family surrounded by it, but like that probably wasn't always your passion. You were probably had dreams and goals to do something else. I'm sure everybody has dreams and goals that, they don't want to, you see your dad or, your people in your family doing things and you're like, I'm going to do the complete opposite of that. Like, was there ever a moment where you're like, I'm going to go to school, or like, tell us about that growing up in, first of all, what part of St. Louis did you grow up in? Tell us about your high school years and kind of what led you to college and stuff like that. In your career.
You're absolutely right. I think a lot of times, especially in family businesses, you go through that portion of life where you're not sure that that's what you want to do for forever. Well, I grew up in St. Louis. I grew up, I wasn't born in St. Louis, but my family moved here when, I was about a year old. So really what happened, my grandfather grew up in a very, very small town out west in Utah. And he always had this dream to be a dentist and to do something with healthcare in that fashion. And he got a really great opportunity. He got accepted to the WashU dental school when it existed. Currently, it doesn't exist anymore, at least the dental school part. But and then did his orthodontic residency in St. Louis as well, and then decided to stay. So, without getting too much into that, ultimately, my dad was able to find that same passion. Now, this is not my dad's parents either. This is my mom's parents. So my dad also grew up in a very small town and always had this passion of just wanting to be in dentistry. When he met my mom in college, he got to know my grandpa, her dad, who was an orthodontist here in St. Louis. So his name is George Bankhead, and that's kind of where part of the business comes from. My dad and my grandpa you know, my grandpa had a very large influence on my dad being interested in orthodontics. My dad was able to do his residency here in St. Louis as well. And that's when my family was finally made it here. My mom grew up here. So, you know, there's just a lot of pride in St. Louis area that dives really deep into both, you know, the Bankhead and the Firth side of my family. So my mom and her siblings grew up in South County. They lived in a house right off of Gravois, really actually close to the old Dressel Elementary School, which is part of the Lindbergh School District. So I said Gravois, but really it was off of Tesson Ferry. So anyway, my mom, when she was raising us, she really had so much pride in the Lindbergh School District and was really proud to be living in the South County area, really wanted my brothers and I to go to school in the Lindbergh School District. So that's where I ended up in my childhood, you know. I went to Kennerly Elementary School, I went to Sparring Middle School, and then I ended up at Lindbergh High School. So really, when I was younger, I just growing up around all of these dentists and orthodontists in my family, it on one hand was kind of all that I knew. You know, it was something that my dad, my grandpa, eventually my mom's brother, my uncle, everyone was just so passionate about. But at the same time, I saw a lot of joy in the lives that they got to live. And so, you know, to be honest, when I was little, I think everybody goes through it where, you know, I just want to be like my dad, you know, I want to be like my family. And that's kind of what I said. I have 3 brothers, and I think every one of us probably at one point thought the same thing. You know, I want to be an orthodontist just like my dad. And then, you know, I get to middle school and high school, and my friends, they're all going to my dad to get their teeth straightened. Everyone just knew my family, and that part of our lives was orthodontics and straightening teeth. So, you know, it wasn't just my school district, obviously, but I grew up in the area where my dad was able to work and serve those families.
So everybody knew you guys as the
Bankhead and Firth. Like we're the teeth
people.
It
was Bankhead and Firth then when you were a kid?
Yes.
Okay. Because I didn't know you were connected to both families. That was where I was, because I knew your last name was Firth, so that's a fun fact for me too.
Yeah. I mean,
that's pretty cool. So that name has a lot of meaning for you, and you hold that pretty high.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it's unfortunate that we only use my dad's last name, or at least just in passing, but really as a business, there's a lot of pride, like you said, in I get to represent what my grandpa started and then also what my dad brings to the table. And, you know, there was a period of time where I thought that maybe I could do something different. I could do something more. I told you before we got started that I was always an introverted kid. I was, you know, relatively shy. It took me a while to start talking. It's really hard. I mean, to this day, really hard for me to make friends. It's really hard for me to be really outgoing and come out of my shell. So I found a lot of connection in the world of music.
Okay.
Lindbergh High School has a wonderful music program for band, orchestra, all of that great stuff. And I picked up a trumpet one day when I was in 6th grade, and that became like my outlet. It became a way for me to really express myself without talking. Yeah.
But still making noise.
Yes, I'm making noise in a very different way, but you know, that actually led me to college as well. I was able to be in college on a music scholarship. I had a lot of really great opportunities in the music realm and continued to play all the way through then. But at the end of the day, there was always this drive to come back to St. Louis to do what my family started.
Yeah.
When I was actually when I was a senior in high school, the night before I took the ACT, so it was a very stressful night. Big night. I got a call from my dad, who was out of town at that time. I was actually on my way to a Lindbergh High School football game with some of my friends. I was in town with just my mom, and I got a call from my dad, and he said, "You've got to get home. Something happened with Mom." And so it kind of freaked me out. I didn't know what was going on. Turns out she had had a really serious seizure, which was completely unlike her. I mean, she was extremely healthy, and we would have never guessed that anything was wrong. But turns out she had a bad seizure. She ended up getting diagnosed with a really serious brain tumor. And so it was just a really, really rough part of my life.
And you were a senior at this time?
I was a senior in high school,
So barely 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, like I said, the night before the ACT, I felt like the world was just crashing down. And the good thing, though, that eventually came out of it was this overwhelming drive to continue a family legacy.
Yeah.
My mom has shown a lot of great strength over the years because of this. And really, you know, it just helped me understand a big part of me that maybe I didn't quite understand at that time. Eventually, I still had some doubts. I still explored other options. I really strongly considered going to medical school for something cancer related. I kind of have a newly developed passion for that because my mom was going through it, and I felt like I could help. You know, I felt like I could make a difference in that way. But at the end of the day, I always felt this connection to my dad and my grandpa and my mom's family in the ways that they were able to start this business in St. Louis. So
yeah, that's inspiring. First of all, sorry about your mom. She's
thank you.
doing well though.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's
I know she's probably listening to this. So shout out, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
No, man, that's really cool. I think that, you know, you guys have such a, you know, the legacy that you're building in St. Louis, and it's not even close to over because, you know, you look at your trajectory, you know, you got another 30, 40 years of a legacy to build, and then your guys' kids and all these different things that you're going to build here in St. Louis. And I think that that's really what makes something truly special. Like, yes, you could go, I'm reading on your, you know, on your site, like you were out in Arizona doing this, you probably wanted to live other places, but then you're like, you know, when I come back to St. Louis, you know, although we have those flaws, it's like I feel good here, and you get to work with your dad every day. I mean, that's pretty cool. Tell us about that, though. Come on, I know he's listening too, because I know a lot of people work with their family and stuff, and there's ups and downs that come with that. But I'm sure it's just amazing getting to spend that much time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Listen, I mean, anybody that works with their family, anybody that's listening to this that works for their family knows that it can be really hard. And it's not because you don't get along, and it's not because you don't agree. It's really just because you're so passionate about the same thing. And when it comes to family, you feel comfortable enough to kind of breach certain lines that otherwise don't often get crossed. But the good thing is I had such good role models ahead of me that helped. Mostly because my dad went through the same thing with my mom's dad, so my grandpa. And you know, as a family, it can be really challenging. You never want to feel like work or your business consumes your life. You know, but
when you're at like the Thanksgiving and you're talking about, hey, did you take care of the Wilsons family?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, little details.
Like, Justin, what the heck happened here? You know, like, didn't you take care of this on that day? You know, not that really happens. It's really just there are so many more good things that come with it because we see eye to eye on so many levels. We have this drive to make the people of St. Louis happy and proud of our business in a way that really isn't going to affect many people just because it is my family that is affected by it. You know, when somebody goes out and says, you know what, Bankhead and Firth did my son's smile, and we're so proud of it. You know, my name is included in that. You know, I'm a Firth. I'm also a Bankhead. But when it comes also to, you know, dang it, my son's teeth, I was just really disappointed with how this, and this happened for whatever reason. At the same time, Bankhead and Firth, you know, that's my name. That's my reputation. So really, my dad and I see that in such a powerful way that it does make working together in some ways really important and really, really healthy in some ways too. I mean, overall, I can't say it enough. I really am super lucky. We we have such a good leadership group with my dad and with Kevin. You know, it's just we see eye to eye on so many different visionary levels that
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for things to not work out the way that we want them to. So
Yeah, it's I had a guest on the podcast before, and it's like a key point of talking about what you're saying here is like, you know, the passion and the people and then the profits, you know, that everybody, you know, can have a successful business, but if you don't put the people and the passion in front of it, you know, it's the 3 Ps, and you just take care of people. If you mess up, you fix it and you take care of it. And like we treat that with our business too, is like we don't even, obviously we have to look at the P&Ls and all the stuff, but like if you just continue to take care of people every single day, that's going to take care of your family and your livelihood too. It's a chain reaction, and I think that that's huge for, you know, what you guys are doing, because not many practices, like at least me growing up, you know, most of these places aren't family owned. So tell us about that, because like that, I think that that's like, if you guys are listening, you're looking at different places to go. I mean, first of all, you guys have 5 locations. You're pretty much close to everybody in the metro, wherever you live. But if you're going to a family-owned practice, you're getting that care that they would give to their own family. So tell us, because I think we talked about that before, how a lot of these places aren't family-owned.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. It really is so important nowadays in the dental community as a whole. Unfortunately, if you look at medicine in general, if you rewind, let's just say 100 years, really most of your medical care came from a family-owned physician or dentist or whatever it may
Anywhere
be.
down the line,
Right.
Pediatrics, anything.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you're going to do comes from somebody who's driven by their passion to help people and
live in your neighborhood too.
Exactly. It's just, it's the people that you know. You'd grow up and it's like, oh, his dad is my doctor, and you know, her cousin is my dentist, and you know, if you fast forward, medicine has evolved a lot, and it has taken on a lot of pressure from insurance companies to change. And you know, in some ways that's great. It really can be. But in other ways, it takes a little bit of that personality out of it. And the last 10 years or so, dentistry is going through a little bit of that change. For a while, I think a lot of dentists were really proud to be able to say, you know what, we're not quite like medicine. You're still going to come to us and get that personalized, that family-owned, family-centered care that you've been able to count on for so long. So really, you take dentistry as a whole, what's been happening is a lot of the dentists that have been around a little bit longer, it's kind of divided. There's a lot of people that want to maintain that sort of very personalized, family-centered care, while others are going a little bit more in the other direction, and they want to take a lot of the hard work that they've put in over the years and turn it into love and money for them and their family, which at the end of the day, who can blame them for that? No one, you know,
and systems and different things and support.
Yeah, you adopt the ownership of an outside investor, an outside company that maybe they do only this, where they invest in certain dental companies, but at the end of the day, it's somebody else's input into what you're doing with your patients. So in orthodontics, it is relatively new, but extremely popular to take that route. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but you know, it is frustrating on a lot of levels, because we try so hard to not only be part of the community, but provide that special care to the people as if they were our own. And that can be extremely difficult if you are not the person running it, if you are not the owner or even the sole owner of your business. So in orthodontics, there's, you know, it's hard to say exactly how many, because while I know most orthodontists in the area, most dentists, you know, the dental community is very, very tight knit. Unfortunately, a lot of those orthodontists have adopted that treatment philosophy where they've brought in outside investors. They've been able to take a lot home themselves and for their family. But it's transferred a lot of that ownership to an outsider.
And a lot of them don't have people to pass it down to either. So,
Sure,
you know, you guys are in a unique position. So if you were to give advice then to, let's say, a 20-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid that just, went through, got his gen eds and he's looking to pursue a career, like what advice, good and bad, would you tell them if they wanted to pursue a career? Because I know some of you guys at your office go teach some of the classes and stuff like that. So you're with these students a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So my dad and Kevin Kaiser, the other owner, they both lend their time at St. Louis University, the orthodontic residency there. So they work firsthand with the residents at that program. But so, that part of our business we're very passionate about as well, because we're not only able to have an influence on the people that are coming here for school, but I mean, there's countless people that go through that program as patients that are St. Louis residents that are getting the care of my dad and Kevin, that same care that they would get in our office. So,
right.
If I were back in as a 20-year-old, I mean, I think a lot of stuff has changed. I'm only 32, but stuff has changed a lot over the last 10 years. Yeah. I think really knowing what you're passionate about is extremely important. At the end of the day, I mean, a job is a job, and if you are working somewhere that is purely to like help out your family, to put food on the table, I mean, there is truly no judgment in that. And that's something that a lot of people can do for forever. But I mean, going into healthcare is a big commitment. Obviously, that's something that most people know, but you really have to know that is the sort of life you want to live, because I didn't finish school until I was 30 years old.
Really?
Medical school, dental school, residencies, all of these things take a lot of time. And on top of that, they require a lot of patience and an investment. I believe that transparency is extremely important. I want people to do what I do because I love it. But I think it's important that people have all the facts about what it means to go into a profession like this. But college can be extremely expensive nowadays, unfortunately, especially if you're going to a state school, somewhere that a lot of people want to go to. Yeah. There's a lot of private schools that are extremely expensive too. On top of that, you look at dental school, which is 4 years of your life. Those 4 years are going to cost a lot of money because they don't pay you to go to school.
There's no band scholarships or anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no
They're
sports.
not, they weren't giving me a band scholarship. So I don't know how many people got any of those, but after that, if you want to go into orthodontics or really most dental specialties, my program was 2.5 years after dental school. So at the end of the day, I came out of it with about $600,000 of debt. Wow. And, if you rewind back to my grandpa, sure, you can talk about inflation, you can talk about how things have changed, but at the end of the day, even with inflation, it doesn't compare. Yeah. His coming out debt is just so different. And
in some families, it's a big commitment, and you already were in that family, so you knew a lot more about it. So you're like, I'm committing to this. Like, it's a long commitment. I mean, 10 years of your life, and I mean, that's a long time. I mean, you're just fresh, so you're still out only 2 years. You're right. You're like, man, I have so much time now.
I know, going from the school mindset to like work mindset, it was a big difference. But yeah. I mean, it was totally worth it. It's so easy to look, hindsight is 2020, of course. Looking back on it, I mean, those years flew by and I loved it. Every bit of it was both incredible and taxing and challenging, but rewarding. Every bit of it was amazing.
Right.
But it's a big commitment, like you said.
That's incredible. So just the advice would be, make sure that you love it, because it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
If you know Tecovas, you know that they make some of the best and most comfortable Western boots around. But what you might not know is that Tecovas has a store right here in St. Louis at Plaza Frontneck. Stop into their store and you'll find the finest handmade cowboy boots, jeans, belts, cowboy hats, and even apparel for both men and women. While you shop, enjoy complimentary drinks, boot shines, custom hat and boot branding, and more. Come visit the Tecovas store at Plaza Frontneck and let them help you find your new favorite pair of boots or your first pair of boots ever. Tecovas, don't go gently. And now with social media, it makes these things look, you know, you get to do all these fun things on social media, but when you really like go to your day to day, so let's do that. Like walk through your day to day, because you guys have 5 offices, but you only have 3 doctors.
Yes.
So tell us how that works. You guys bounce?
Yes, we bounce around. It was always important to my grandpa, and then eventually my dad as well, that the patient care was not only consistent among the doctors, but that the patients also got to receive personal care from all of the doctors. So that's always been really important in our business. We want to be able to show our patients that they are getting 3 minds and not just one. Orthodontics in general is very much a problem-solving sort of healthcare. Treatment can take anywhere from, you know, a year to 2.5 years, depending on how severe of cases can be.
Right.
And with regular visits, really what we're doing is we're assessing where the teeth and the mouth is at that point, and deciding how to move forward and get you closer to that ideal perfect smile. So there's just tons of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
A lot of thought, a lot of planning, problem solving, predicting problems, predicting successes. And so when you have all of the doctors contributing to these cases on a consistent basis, I mean, on one hand, it keeps us consistent and it keeps us honest about what we're doing. But it also helps make sure that those patients are getting the best care possible. I mean, I'm never going to know all of the answers. My dad is never going to know all the answers. Kevin's not going to know all the answers. So the 3 of us together, I mean, it's like having 3 times as good of an orthodontist in one office. So
how often do you guys collaborate then?
You know, oh man, I would say it's every day.
You're talking on the phone, you're driving, hey, I'm driving over to Eureka right now. Okay, I'll meet you at Sunset Hills. We'll look at that. Yeah.
We have regular formal meetings, especially with like the office leadership, with the people that work for us as well. But really, a lot of that collaboration is done after hours, you know, before we start. You know, we start seeing patients at 7:30 in the morning. So sometimes we're jumping on a call at 7. Sometimes it means that we're talking on our way home. Kevin has kids, so, you know, it might mean he's at the park on a Saturday talking to us on the phone while his kids play. So there is a lot of collaboration that has to go into it, more than probably even what I thought would have to go into it. But the good thing is we have a pretty good system where our offices are open very regularly, and you know, we see patients in each location as regularly as possible, and we just kind of bounce around to try and
keeps it fun. You get to drive around and you get to like cruise around. But like I'm looking on your website and all of them are just in a line. You know, besides Eureka's a little bit out, but if you just take Sunset Hills, you just go straight line all the way down to Waterloo.
I know, if there was only just like one road that connected all of them, gosh, it would make it so easy.
I know. That's really cool that you guys are doing. I mean, I met your guys' staff, and like your guys' staff was unbelievable. I mean, you guys had, I think that I couldn't even, I mean, probably 25 people in there that day.
Yeah.
You had everybody. I mean, people were bringing their kids. I mean, people just came in on their off day just for the video shoot. Just to get and the video ended up cutting a bunch of people out, but it's all good.
Yeah, no, they are such a good group. I mean, we are extremely lucky. As a business owner, it can be really challenging because on one hand, they see you as their leader, the person that pays their bills, sometimes a fatherly figure, a brotherly figure, whatever it may be. And then on the other hand, we're also the employer. And, you know, it's any good business owner knows that relationship is extremely difficult. Yeah. I mean, gosh, one thing that I struggle with is, dang it, I want everyone to love me. And I mean, I think a lot of people relate to that because no one wants to be disliked, but some people out there, man, they're just so resilient and
they're hard.
Yeah.
Some of these business owners, I think that's the old way though. There's a way to do it both, but I'm like that too. I'm like, I just want my employees to like me, but then I'm like, but I also want to be able to like be comfortable telling them that things need to be different, which is too hard to do because you don't tell your friends that. They are your friends, but they also, it's just weird, man. It's a weird situation. You know?
And it's a lot of pressure to be the person that really pays their bills. You know, it's a lot of pressure to,
it's privilege too though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky, extremely lucky. When you go through dental school or residency, I mean, they don't teach you how to be a good business owner. They don't teach you those things. And so you kind of just get thrust into this world of all these people,
you
whether
know what
they're-
you're doing at the practice, but then now you have to manage personnel. That's the
Right.
whole other part of the job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I've got people younger than me that look
Yeah.
up to me as an employer. I've got people older than me that look up to me as an employer. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know why you're coming to me, but I guess I'm the one that has to decide.
So tell me that though. So like a lot of students that you went through school with, you know, a lot of them just go and work for a place. So you got thrust into a leadership position pretty quickly. That's not normal in your position, or is that?
It depends. I mean, lately, unfortunately, it's not as normal.
Yeah. Back in the day, it used to be like you graduate and then you had your business was open, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, back in the day, maybe that meant that you opened your own business, kind of like my grandpa did.
Yeah.
But some people just joined forces with another guy, or, you know, another person.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like I mentioned before, unfortunately, we have a lot of practices that are getting bought by these outside investors, these outside companies that are putting money into it to help run it. And so what happens is, you know, people that I went to residency with, a lot of them struggle to find somebody that's looking for somebody like them.
A partner.
Yeah, a partner that can take over, because a lot of those practices that would have needed somebody like them have already sold to an outside business. So that's another reason, unfortunately, why it can have this negative effect. I mean, you look at all these people that are going through dental school, going through residency, they're coming out eager to serve their communities, go back to wherever they're from. And unfortunately, finding that a lot of these businesses are not going to take them as a potential owner. You know, they will hire them as, you know, a doctor to work for them.
Yeah.
But I always knew that I had a place here at home, but you know, it's sad because that is a little bit more of the norm now, where people don't have all of these opportunities to just come right into a business and have the future to take over, or have the future to partner with that person.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, you invest your time and then, you know, significant amount of loans to get, you know, to have that, you know, ownership in something. And I think that the whole world is monopolized with all these bigger businesses. Like, we're a small business just like you guys, and we're competing with all these other businesses that are huge, that are owned by, you know, whatever it might be. And I think that's like the grit that St. Louis has. I think that we love like to support it. So now, knowing this and becoming an adult and starting a family myself, I'm like, I'll pay more and drive farther to support people like that. You know, maybe your location isn't closer, but like, you guys are going to be our orthodontic no matter where we live, because, you know, we want to support the people that support the city that we live in, you know, and I think that it's a chain, it's a circle.
Yeah. I cannot resonate with something more than that. I mean, truly, when I was in dental school, you know, I went to dental school in Arizona, and a lot of people, when they thought of me, they thought of the St. Louis guy, the guy that just always talks about home. And, you know, obviously I think
I'm like, is St. Louis really, like, you're in Arizona, like, dude, St. Louis is not that cool.
Like, that place is kind of dangerous, isn't it? I see it on the news all the time. I don't know. I obviously think I'm a lot more complex than that. You know, I'm not just the St. Louis guy, but I did find that I felt a lot of pride in that. You know, living in Arizona is amazing. There's a lot of great things out there, and a lot of people really, really love it. But I found myself in a lot of situations where I would say, like, oh man, I just love my high school. Like, I'm going to go back and go to one of the home football games when I'm home for like Christmas break or something.
Yeah.
And just tons of people that just could not relate, you know, like, oh, I would never do that. Or, you know, sure, it's not just the high school thing, but like, you know, I would be so excited to show people that would come to town from dental school, from college, or from residency. Like, oh my gosh, these are my favorite places. Let's go do this while you're in town. And, you know, in Arizona, you know, anytime I visit family or friends outside of St. Louis, it's not always that way. And so I've always been that way. I've always wanted to support the people that I feel like I'm surrounded by. I want to support my friends, my family, of course, but I want to support the people that are just like me, that grew up here, that want to be here, that want to raise their kids here.
Because you're looking at like you're 32, I'm 28. It's like, you know, in 30 years, we're still going to be doing things and we're
Right.
still going to be in business. And then we're going to be those stories of like, oh, I've been going there for 30 years or, oh, I've been following STL bucket list
Mhm.
since they were, 100,000 people or whatever. And we build these big businesses and stuff like that. But I think that I wanted to learn a little bit more about an aha moment that you had. And I want to see if you have one. But there's always things in my business. It's the same way. And this happened to me recently where I took a step back and I looked at what we've been building and I'm like, okay, like sometimes you don't do that because you're in the day to day so much. Do you ever drive around in between locations or on the way home? And like, was there ever an aha moment where you're like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And
Yeah.
like, can you describe that feeling?
I think for me, there's a couple. There's a bigger one, but before I tell you that one,
Yeah.
when I moved back for residency after dental school, I was in residency, not quite working with my dad and with Kevin quite yet, but I was out at Deerberg's one time, and I had a Bankhead Firth shirt on that I just threw on to go to the store.
Right.
And I had this older lady come up to me that she was just like, "Oh my gosh, do you work at Bankhead Firth Orthodontics?" And I said, "Well, kinda. I mean, it's my family,
Yeah.
but I'm still in school, so I will be." But she was like, "Oh, well, I just wanted to say hi because all of my kids came to you, and now I have grandkids, and we're planning on bringing." So that part was really special. I mean, that really was the first time that happened to me personally.
Out in outside, and you're like,
Right.
wow, like we actually are doing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just having that large influence on people
And
that
that's just one person.
yeah, there's just one person,
one
yeah.
family.
Yeah.
But that is it.
Exactly.
And then you're like, okay, like that'll get me through the next set of
I know.
exams.
Yeah, that will help me survive the last couple of years of residency. So that was a big one. And to be honest, those experiences happened a lot when I was little. I have tons of memories of my dad being out in public and people just coming up to him, Dr. Firth, oh my gosh, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
And it got so bad to where my friends would, anytime we were out together, they would just be like, man, everybody knows your dad.
Yeah.
And so those were all great moments. But I think the most recent one, the bigger one, was more of an emotional moment, and that was this last year with our 50th anniversary. So, my grandpa, he kind of ended up in St. Louis on a whim. So I don't want to act like this was all this huge plan. Really, he was just trying to do what was best for his family. He liked it when he was in school here, so he thought that he was going to open a business. So he opened it in 1973. This last year, we had a lot of big changes in our business. We renovated some offices and we had a big celebration to just highlight those 50 years. We invited my grandpa to come back and come out to the big event. And then on top of that, a lot of our patients came. And then we had a lot of my grandpa's colleagues and friends from when he was younger in St. Louis, same sort of gig that just have worked here for forever. Some of them have family members that have continued in their businesses. And I remember my grandpa, we had this at the 50-year anniversary celebration, we had a counter just covered in newspaper articles, things about my grandpa, just things that they were highlighting when he started the business. And my grandparents got really emotional because not only did they see all of that, but they had all of these friends just flocking to come see them because the famous Dr. Bankhead was back in town. He's here to celebrate. And I think that's when I had a moment where I was like, man, I do love doing what I do. And I think that I'm going to love doing it for forever. But there is such a powerful influence that we have on people. We're not just giving them something to enjoy for a few minutes. I mean, these changes can be extremely life-changing.
Yeah. Somebody's
smile, facial changes, orthopedic changes, all of these things have such a huge impact on somebody's self-worth, their image. I mean, it's not to say that it's the only thing that matters, but it really just I think it hit me at that moment where I was like, man, this is what I get to do. I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's one of those aha moments. It's like you step back and, somebody told this to my wife and I when we were about to get married, and they're like, just take like 5 minutes when the wedding's going on and then like go sit back and like just hug each other and then look.
Yeah.
Because then you're like looking, like you're stressed out. You're building a business, you're investing money, you're working longer hours than you probably signed up for. Always. You're like, why am I doing emails at 10 o'clock at night? It just always happens. But then when you go in on that media day that we did a few weeks ago, and you look at all those people that are there, and now they have families and they have weddings and anniversaries, and then you're 32, like you're having these things, you're getting to work with your dad, like you have all these things to be grateful for. And I think that people take life for granted, and I think that's the downside about all these electronics is we don't pick our heads up and actually look around and see what's actually going on, and just a little bit of gratitude. And like that's sometimes it takes those moments. It's an old newspaper article of Dr. Bankhead, of seeing that and be like, okay, now I'm the third generation now, and then eventually there's going to be a fourth and fifth, and it's like, how do we truly build something special? But that's awesome. So that was a moment where you're like, okay, I'm on the right track. That was a good story.
Thanks. I mean, it's something I'm really proud of. It's not just my family too. I mean, I have to make sure that I give some love to Kevin too, because even though he's not family at this point, he is. And he and I grew up together. He went to Lindbergh. Met his wife at Lindbergh. And his wife and I have been friends for forever. And so it really very much is like this familial business that really supports families, not just our own, but all over St. Louis. So we're all just so grateful that we get to do this. It's a lot of work to get to this point, but not everybody gets to serve their community in such a big way. And I feel like a little bit from the outside, I can look and say, we're able to serve the St. Louis community just so well, and in such a huge way for so many years.
It's just something as simple as, and I know it's not simple, but just transforming a smile. It's it's somewhat of a luxury thing, too. It's not. And I know that you guys, had told me in the past, like you guys try to work with anybody and everybody with flexible options so that everybody can enjoy that smile. But like, you're right, man. I mean, teeth. It's a big deal, dude, especially when, bullying used to be big back in the day. I don't know if kids still bully each other, but like, dude, kids would bully, and like just something as simple as fresh new teeth, and straight teeth, and health reasons too, obviously, just beyond cosmetic. But you guys are crushing it, man. I'm proud to have you guys on the podcast, and
thanks.
Proud to have you guys a part of it. But it is the STL Bucket List Show.
Yes.
We're talking about all this, college and student loans and all this stuff, but let's talk about St. Louis a little bit. You are the St. Louis guy. I know you live on the hill, right?
I live on the hill.
Okay. I'm over in Southampton. I'm not too far from you.
Okay.
STL Bucket List, we highlight the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. I'm a big foodie. That's why we even started the page. We were anonymous, and we would just post things. Me and my wife, I was embarrassed. I was like, why am I posting food? I'm like 25 years old. I'm like, this is weird.
You're that guy.
I was that guy. Yeah, I was that guy. But now I'm like, no, I am that guy. I'm going to post this because when I post it, I'm like, it'll get support from somebody else. But yeah, like the phone eats first, which are you?
I mean, that might be me too. I'm also that guy.
I am also that guy. But I want to hear about some of your favorite places to eat, some of your favorite places for coffee, maybe even some of your favorite parks and activities. Like, tell us like what your STL bucket list is when people come in. Like, where are the spots you're hitting? You can say as many as you want.
Great, I love it. I know you talked with Andy, the Joya's owner. I don't want to overlap too much, because when I was listening to his episode, I'm like, dang, I mean, I'm just like checking all the boxes, like, he's got the same stuff that I love. So I live right by Vitale's Bakery. I was super lucky. I got a great house during COVID, before everything got extremely crazy with the housing market. And so I wake up and I smell Vitale's freshly baked bread every morning. And
that's dangerous.
It is dangerous. I have to keep myself away. So I have to shout them out a little bit. I love Shaw's Coffee. I love Cafe Dolce that's right around the corner as well. I also kind of I've thought about this a little bit too, and I want to highlight a few of the things that I grew up doing, because you know, I can talk all day about the things that I love today. You know, I love Katie's Pizza and Pasta.
Yeah.
I love Brennan's in Central West End for drinks.
Yep.
I mean, I love Ted Drew's. I love all those things. But, you know, when I was growing up, it wasn't always these like
fancy, nice
yeah,
things.
nicer places. Sometimes, sure. But, you know, when I was growing up, everything around Sunset Hills, all those areas were just so important to us. I mean, the Ronnie's Plaza where the theater is. So, I mean, in my opinion, some of the things that I really love in that area, I mean, Twisted Tree Steakhouse.
I still haven't been there yet, but this is like the 10th person that's told me. I don't go out that way that often, but I'm telling you, absolutely gas.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I
that's
try and go there.
Family?
Like,
is that the
yes, it is.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so
I mean,
good.
everything they do. Yeah. I mean, everybody that I went to high school was at Helen's. As often as possible.
Sure.
Helen's is like one of my go-tos, but Twisted Tree, you have to go. It's a great date night spot.
What's up with Ronnie's? Is it still there? Ronnie's is still there?
Yeah, Ronnie's is still over there.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff changes in those areas. So unfortunately, a lot of the places I grew up going to in that area have moved on, but the Jay's Pizzeria that's right across the street's amazing.
Yeah.
When it comes to like desserts, I mean, Missouri Baking Company is really incredible for stuff on the hill.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of Russell's. Yeah. It's not far, you know. It's close to YouTube, but
great for brunch or dinner. Brunch.
Well, mostly brunch. I mean,
their brunch is good. You get a cinnamon roll? What do you get?
Oh my gosh,
the cinnamon roll.
The cinnamon roll. Their breakfast burrito is just so good. A
little cinnamon roll in the middle. It's a good energy there. It's just a nice neighborhood vibe.
Yes, it feels like you're just in someone's house.
That's what I love about South City is like these are homes that are turned into restaurants, and they just feel warm. The Hill is unbelievable. People don't talk about the Hill that much. They don't. The magazines don't write about it anymore. It's like, why don't you write about these places? They've been here for 50 years. Sato in the Hill.
We love Sato. Yeah, I mean, I would go there every day if I could afford it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a special occasion. That's a date night vibe.
Definitely date night. I mean, the Gelato di Rizzo that's right around the corner from my house.
With the water fountain there.
Yeah, when I was growing up, we would go to Zia's all the time.
Yep.
So Zia's, I know a lot of those restaurants have been around for forever, but that was like one of my family staples. So, I mean, that's the great thing is my friends and I have this huge list on our phones of just places that we want to go back to.
So you have your own bucket list. Do we need to link that?
We might need to link it. The problem is it's so long. It's basically just every good place in St. Louis.
Every place that if somebody tells you, you're just like, write it down.
Right.
So that's like so hard because you like look at it and you're like, it's almost too long to where you can't find. It's like when you're on Netflix trying to find a movie. It's like it's too long.
Yeah, I mean, it's decision fatigue.
Is there a restaurant in town that you want to try that you haven't tried yet?
Ooh, that's a good question. I really want to try Idle Wolf because I have not been
at the 21C.
Yes,
it's a very sexy hotel.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like that kind of vibe just gets my juices flowing. I want to be in a place like that every day. You know.
Yeah.
So, but there's tons of places like that. I mean, I'm never gonna know every place. But you know, I love. Balkan Treat Box. I love their Telva at the Ridge. I mean,
great spot, great cafe.
When I bring somebody to St. Louis or if somebody's just visiting me, it's impossible to do everything in one weekend or a couple of days.
Because you want to try and show them all these cool spots, but you're like, okay, we have to pick a neighborhood. But like, it's easy to just stay in your neighborhood.
I know.
But it's cool.
I'm so
lucky. Like, you're like, oh, I can go here, and I can do that. That's so cool. So what made you move there? Did you just like the area? Are you Italian? No?
I'm not Italian.
Oh, okay. You're one of those guys.
I got lucky. Yeah. Don't tell them though. Yeah. I don't want the secret to get out.
They probably know. They probably know. They just don't.
They could just I don't talk the same or something. I don't know. No, I just got really lucky. I was looking for a house when I was finishing up residency and mostly looking online. I had a realtor that I was working with, but just came across this house just right on Bischoff Avenue. So, I mean, it was like a great location. It felt close to the city, but also not super far from my parents who still live in the county. So I went and looked at it and I was like, man, this is great. I really could see myself here. It's not too big. It's like perfect size for me. But the funny thing about that you ask it just reminded me when I was going through the process of closing on the house, working with the realtor and getting all the details finalized. When it all got finished and the owners wanted to reach out and congratulate us and all that stuff. So it was funny. They reached out and they said, by the way, we've seen your name and you did my teeth when I was, your family fixed my teeth when I was
The owners
younger.
wanted to reach out to you? That's like something that only on the hill that they would do that.
Yeah,
like,
they left
because they lived there for so long.
They lived there for a while and they just were like, sorry, I saw your name, not trying to be weird.
Yeah.
We left you like a present at the house.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you so much. Your family did my teeth when I was little, so we really appreciate it. It's nice to see like a familiar name coming to live in that neighborhood. So
that's crazy.
I know those little things happen all the time. It's like, man, that's awesome.
It is cool. Like, and even in our life, like now people notice us from the podcast, and it's like, that wasn't the goal, but it's still nice that people enjoy what we're doing. And like, it's not like a celebrity where it's weird and people are taking pictures, but they're like, oh, are you like Luke from STL? Like, yeah, you're a fan. They're like, yeah, that's awesome, dude. Keep it up. Like, it's just fun to like see that. Like, everybody has an ego. Everybody needs like a little, you need a little thing to keep you going. But Justin, thank you for coming on to the podcast, man. I mean, I want you to leave the guests with your guys' website, social links. Sure. We're going to keep those followers. Let's go. Yeah, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
You can find our website. It's Bankhead and Firth Ortho.com. So Bankhead and Firth Ortho.com. And then all of our socials are at Bank Firth Ortho. So it's kind of shortened, but Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the goods.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. We're just going to keep doing this every single week. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We're really trying to build, the people, places, and events that make this city unique. And Marissa will be back soon. Our baby, as of listening to this, our baby is 8 weeks old in like 3 days. So definitely hard to coordinate a podcast episode.
Sure.
We had her in last week for a friend of ours on the show that she knew and literally wore her during the episode. And she was like,
that's amazing.
She's like, who are we doing today? And I'm like, it's like Dr. Justin. And she's like, well, I don't know them. I'm like, I'm just going to stay home. I'm like, all right, you stay home. Take care of the baby.
It's right. Marissa, I'm not taking it personally.
But no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On.
I really appreciate it.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.